I have some thoughts. The first thought is that this week has been a long one for me, and my kind of mental my mental energy is I have this much,
Mhm.
right? So
I get you
I
perfectly.
am not going to be. This is not going to be a 15-person combat or whatever that madness was we did last time.
You cooked it up, not us.
I
And
guess it
also, we
was
have a
us.
slightly interesting situation in terms of personal decisions for the characters. So, I'm going to begin by saying this session is really wide open and potentially, we don't know if it has lots of action, we will find out. But
Mhm.
I, at least, don't know anything about where you guys are respectively going to take it. So it's really wide open right now. Um, Partly because we have two characters whom you have not seen since the first session who are both doing something. And yet you're not near them yet. And I refuse to suddenly say why that character just shows up. Right? I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
So I gave some thought to what was going on, and I see in my head um, two dusters. At this point, anyway, probably we're moving into the next morning. I was thinking, Helma, I was thinking about making that a fate roll, but it seems to me as though it must have been past midnight when you transformed into a snake. It must have been, because you had to wait a long time for Chuchot to show up, and then you had to wait a long time for Tokevt, the
Shaman,
the
yeah.
shaman,
Mhm.
to show up, and it I think it might even have been approaching dawn by the time that whole
Make me unhappy.
yeah. Um, so I don't think the sun was up yet when you transformed, but it will be.
It will certainly be before we get some rest, which will be a problem.
And so, yes, rest is out of the question. There's no
Mm.
rest period from the events of last time, except for Vefselk. The timing now is a little bit asynchronous between the two locations. And not only
Mhm.
that, but Vefselk and Ogmek had a chance to settle down, find a good spot, and take a break. So the recovery for them is real. For
Okay.
the three, for Had and Farith and Ithasha, that is out of the question. Um, so, given that, I provided a couple of maps, but I don't really think we need them quite yet. Um, One of the if we go to Farith and Had and Ithasha, um, one of the problems that you face is that you are in tribal territory, and that um, the easy ways to the river, and where anybody can just go to the river and eventually get a boat or something like that, where there are communities up and down the river. The easy ways are all quail territory. They're all utilized by members of that tribe or anyone traveling through the area. On the positive side, there is a lot of chaos happening. And I'm beginning to think that those two things are going to cancel out. That if the word is given out among the tribe that strangers need to be apprehended, or there's a lot of trouble. Strangers have tried to kill the chief, or any crazy rumors or truths that are spreading. It is canceled in part by all of the confusion and violence and emergency response that the tribe is also experiencing. So at this time, I think a lot of people in that area are going to be running back and forth and trying to organize different responses or take care of their own problems. But I don't think that it's going to be a big organized hunt for the three of you. I think that things are too disrupted for that. But as far as your location, which is really what I was trying to say with all that crap, imagine yourselves going through traveled areas of the Quail people, but trying to stay out of the roads or paths that are heavily used. So there's a certain caution to your approach to get to the river. And it's not very far away. In an ordinary time, you could get there by simply walking, probably in the course of a single day, with no problem at all. Under these circumstances, it's slower and more risky. You don't even really know if the Quail tribe people are trying to catch you or not. You don't even know what the exact situation is. But you know that you were involved in this enormously disruptive event. So,
is the river considered tribe territory?
Some of it is, but there's a lot of traffic on it and a lot of communities on it who govern themselves. So it's not like there's a border that if you jump across it, all the pursuing tribes have to stop.
I mean, it's not
There's
like
nothing like that.
Can think
right.
Getting on a boat is
right. And also the river's not very fast. It's like in the movie, you jump on the river and it zips you away, and everybody's standing on the bank looking after you. Now they'll just walk along at the same speed as the boat. So
precisely.
So that's not really the issue. It's not about a chase scene with speed. It's more about making your way there without any direct trouble.
In a way, the river could be more dangerous because if they are looking for us,
it's obvious. Yeah.
Especially because I really do not think that I consider the river a good option.
Right.
I still want to know in which direction Farid wants to take that.
Well, that's why I'm more interested. I'm less interested in this as a logistic problem and a little bit more interested in the interactions among you. So if you look at this map, you will
I just
see...
have only one question, just for context. When we left, we saw the Chuchal who had ordered the tribe to escape, and you said that Tikept had collapsed, but he wasn't dead. I mean, we didn't see him die.
You did not see either Chuchalt or the shaman specifically die.
Okay.
If I recall correctly.
No, we did not.
Mm-hmm. No. But the only thing I remember is that the shaman collapsed.
Right.
Spirit drained.
And in many ways, if Chuchalt, the chieftain, if the Jada had died, then that might make things easier for you because everybody would be focused on that.
Yeah.
And you're not even sure what her attitude toward you is, but if it is hostile, then if she recovers and is intent upon you, that's an if. then you really don't want to be, you really do need to be away from the areas that are mostly a bunch of quail dusters.
I think the last thing she told me was kill the man and get the girl.
Mhm.
So I'm not terribly positive about
Right,
her
right,
attitude.
exactly. They were,
At
they
least
were-
toward me.
mhm.
Yeah. So
Well, yes, that's right. I mean, that was because she's a duster and you're not, right? So, among the other details. Okay, so the map that I gave you is kind of a generic, scrubby, rocky set of paths. And I think it's a good representation if you think of it as a mountainside going down to the river, but it's not a single drop off. There are lots of levels. There are like a lot of different levels going in different angles as you go down. And sometimes you might even travel at the same altitude around a ridge for a long time and then go down a ways and then go around again, things like that. So this is one of those places, and I'm imagining it as being well on the way to the river. So therefore, there's a little bit of, at this time, you are not aware of anybody, nobody is chasing you, right? There's no immediate sign of danger from the quail people. So you've managed to get a bit far away. That's, I think, due to the chaos, due to the chaotic situation. This is how far you can get. But I will say, Farth, you're down in single-digit hit points by this point, I think. And Ethasho's not much better and has no miracle points to speak of
Nothing.
left. Yeah, and so
Those are definitely 3 in single digit.
right, and Had, and all of you, I mean, both of you have sword cuts, right, and are battered, from a variety of things. So the three of you have managed to get this far. About this point where we get to this map is where I will say it's almost imperative that you need to take a rest. You're going to start doing damage to yourself if you continue to push on. So that's where you are. So the question I have is, there are several rather nice looking places on this little map. Even though it's not the most hospitable place in the world, it's kind of duster paradise in some ways. So you can tell that this is a well-used area. There just happens not to be anybody here right now. So therefore, feel free to, from a human point of view, climbing up to the top of those rocks is not an attractive prospect in any of those places. But maybe onto one of, if you want to get high, there are a couple of table-like areas that look kind of comfortable. Oh, if you go to the top of that map, you will see some interesting round-looking rocks at the tops of the... Do you see in 2 or 3 places there are these round-looking rocks? And I'm going to say that those have been shaped and altered by earth shamans so that they are wonderful little snake houses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are perfect little snake houses. There's, I think, 3 rocks. There's about 10 or so, 10 or 11 or 12 of those little structures. So, but that's what you are. You can pick whichever one of the, you can pick anywhere on the map that you would like to be, just to take time to look at each other and say, okay, we're this far, now what?
There's one little problem. I'm still not sure I want her to see me in this, especially not in this condition.
Right.
So the one little problem I have is I have to change into my humanoid form to be able to go through the ride. but I'd rather not he sees me, and I'd rather like to change back as fast as possible
Sure.
again.
Okay.